Good afternoon, everyone. I
Good
hope
afternoon, sir.
you are all doing well. Today, we have the immense pleasure of having with us uh, Dr. Suresh Kumar, who is an assistant professor of livestock production and management, GADVSU, Ludhiana, Punjab. And Sir has chosen a topic of deliberation as public-private partnership for sustainable development in agriculture and allied sectors. Sir, you are audible as well as visible. Also, your slides are visible to the participants. Please start, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dr. Suresh Kumar, currently working at Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, Ludhiana. The topic chosen by me for today's talk is public-private partnership for sustainable development in agriculture and allied sectors. Before I should start my presentation, I am highly thankful to the organizing society and organizing university, that is Karnataka Veterinary and Animal Science University and NADCL Society, for giving me this opportunity to deliver this invited talk in this very particular 21 days national refresher course, which was scheduled from 8 to 28 July. And today is the second last day of our training course. Before I should start my presentation, I would like to recall the famous quote of Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. He says that everything else will fail. This is a very true statement in today's scenario, as we all witnessed in today's scenario, in particularly in COVID situation. The agriculture was the only sector which support India's economy and India's GDP. In this whole presentation, I would like to cover the aspects of that what is the contribution of agriculture and how does agriculture and allied activities can be better in a better way with the help of public-private partnership, and how we can fetch more income, and how we can benefit more farmers and particularly the small and the personalized farmers through this public-private partnership models. As we all know that the share of the agriculture, this is a very good cutting in the newspaper. As per the economic survey, agriculture share in GDP hits 20% after 17 years. And the growth in gross value added of the agriculture and allied sector has been fluctuating over time. And if we see the GDP, that's the gross domestic product, that has reached almost 20% for the first time in the last 17 years, making it the sole high spot in the GDP performance during 2021. However, if we see the scenario with delicious scenarios, the gross value added product for agriculture, it maintains a positive growth rate of 3.4%, which is a very good indicator. And if we see the livestock sector in the agriculture sector, this livestock sector contribute about 4.1% to the GDP. Out of the 25 and the 25.6% of the total agriculture GDP is contributed by the livestock sector. Expenditure on this agriculture
Sir, can you turn
serve.
on video because I think the video is eating more bandwidth, so the
Yes,
audio
sir.
is suffering because of that.
Okay, sir.
Sir, you have to press Alt Tab and come to the Chrome where you see the Google Meet and
Okay, sir.
press the camera icon so that the camera gets turned off. I
Sir,
think you
okay, I
have
have.
bandwidth issue.
Okay, sir, I have switched off the camera, sir.
Sorry,
I have switched off. I have closed the camera, sir.
your voice is breaking because there is some bandwidth issue. Can you have a better network or a wired connection to a network? Yeah, you have turned your camera off. Now let's go
So, yes,
back to
sir.
PPT. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
sir.
Now let's go to
O-
PPT and restart. Continue with the presentation, sir.
Okay, sir.
Press Alt Tab again, and you will come to PowerPoint.
Okay, sir. Sir, my PowerPoint is visible, sir, now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Uh, in terms of and education, 6% of the GDP from agriculture and allied activities. And as per the report by the Planning Commission 2011, we have to raise this expenditure on agriculture, research, development, and education to at least 1% so that we can focus more on this agriculture sector and we can boost this agriculture sector, particularly in today's scenario and for the future betterment of the economy. The livestock population, total livestock population is 535.78 millions. If you see this is the species wise livestock population is depicted in this slide. And if you see the average yield of milk from different breeds, just exotic cow 11.48, crossbred cow 7.6, this is depicted here. And the total poultry population of the country is 851.81 millions, which is a quite good number. And this is a report by the Economic Survey that milk production rises by 5% to 198 million ton in 2019 to 2020. And there's a tremendous pressure on the dairy sector to increase the milk production, because the gap between the demand and production is rising day by day. And so we have to met out this gap. And to met out this gap, we have to go with more options, more viable options, so that we can boost up this dairy sector, not only dairy sector, but the sector associated with dairy processing, dairy value addition. We have to link that all sectors, and we have to boost the dairy sector. And the milk production in the country has increased from 146 million ton in 2014-15 to 198.4 million ton in 2019 to 20, which is growing by 35.61% in the last 6 years. And the estimated demand, if you see the estimated demand by 2030, which is 266.5 million metric ton for milk and milk products. And for achieving this target, we have to work excellently, and we have to adopt different models. And public-private partnership can be a better alternative to come up and to meet out this requirement. This is by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Modi sir. He says that India needs food processing revolution through public-private partnership, and it is developed at a faster pace. For the food processing revolution, he said participation of farmer as well as the public-private partnership needs to be increased. The Prime Minister said that the public sector has mainly contributed towards research, development, and education, and the time has come to increase the private sector participation in it, so that we can achieve the required amount of growth. And there is a plan, or there is a by the government of India to build agri-value chain in public-private partnership model. The government is building this in collaboration with public players to transform this agriculture sector from purely a production system into an agriculture business, so that we can met out the international standards, and we can met out the gap between the demand and production. Now I will come to my topic of today's talk, that is public-private partnership. Firstly, I will define what is this? What is public-private partnership, and how we call this as a term as a public-private partnership. It may be broadly defined as a contractual agreement between the government and a private firm targeted towards financing, designing, implementing, and operating infrastructure facilities and services that were traditionally provided by the public sector. It offers, basically, this public-private partnership, it offers monetary and non-monetary advantages for the public sector, which is the need of today's scenario. It addresses the limited infrastructure development projects of the public sector, thereby allowing the allocation of public funds for other local priorities. It means that if government has to consider everything, that is not possible from the budget of government. Government has to collaborate, or public has to collaborate with the private players, so that everything can be attained at a faster pace, and so that we can grow in a much better way. This public-private partnership, it is a mechanism to distribute project risk to both public and private sector. Later on, I will discuss with you different models of this public-private partnership, and how this works, and how does the share and how does the risk is distributed among the private and the public players. It will care for both sectors to gain improved efficiency and project implementation process in delivering services to the public. And the most important thing about this public-private partnership is that it emphasizes value for money. How much we are investing and how much we are getting, or how much revenue or how much profit we are getting. This much focusing on reduced cost, better risk allocation between the public and the private players, faster implementation of the various government schemes, improved services, and possible generation of additional revenues, which is the need of our to we have to generate more revenues. What are the basic, or what are the elements of this public-private partnership? The first most is the strategic mode of procurement. We have to procure in a very defined mode, and there must be an agreement between the public sector and private sector that how much will be the contribution by the public sector if the share arises out of the joint venture, that how much share will be taken by the public sector and how much by the private sector. And this public-private partnership, in spite of boosting the public sector projects and schemes and other options, it will also provide a better opportunity to the private sector to get better returns in terms of monetary and other growth parameters. And it also shared risk and resources. The risk and resources are equally shared between the public and the private under this model. And next element is regarding this partnership is the value for money. It means that how much the public sector is doing expenditure on the private sector, or how much it is contributing and how much it is getting, or how much is the profit and how much is the share. This means that public sector is taking consideration for the value for the money and the outcome orientation. Outcome orientation means that how much we are getting out of this model, and this will accelerate or this will fasten over provision, and it will provide better opportunity for the implementation of different schemes and the different projects which was being by the government of India, so that private players and the public or the government will get better opportunities out of these models. There are different types of public-private partnership. First, I will discuss that availability public-private partnership and concessional public-private partnership. In availability public-private partnership, it is a mode or it is a way wherein the public authority contract with the private sector entity to provide a public good service or product at a constant capacity, given fee and given charges. There, the charges of the fees are being provided for recovery of debt service and the return will be there. And in the concessional public-private partnership model, it is wherein the government grants the private sector right to build, operate, or service. In this, tariffs are structured to provide for recovery of debt service, fixed cost of operation, and return on the equity. And then selection of the private proponent is done through the public competitive process. The competitive process, open challenge competition is there. Anyone can take the bid. Whereas in unsolicited proposal, the private sector project proponent submit a project proposal to a implementing agency without formal solicitation from the government of India or without formal solicitation of the government. uh, what are the various reasons why government is more considering or more tapping on this public-private partnership? The injection of private sector capital, which is very much need of the hour. We have to infuse the private sector. We have to boost the private sector so that the private sector money can be utilized for the public sector projects, public sector.
नमस्ते।
I think sir got disconnected. He will be joining back.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay, okay. So sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
Can you restart the PPT?
Yes, sir. Sir, now it's visible the my PPT.
No, no, you have to again do the present now.
Oh, okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, Majid ji.
Yes, sir.
It's visible, sir?
It's loading.
Majid ji, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir. Oh, okay, sir. I will continue, sir. I will continue. Uh,
Yeah.
there are various dimensions of public-private partnership coverage in agriculture, and one of the dimensions of this coverage in agriculture is the research. Many of the studies of this focused on agriculture, safety regulation, intellectual property rights, and various in technology transfer in support of pro-poor in developing countries. Basically, we have to undergo this research innovation under this model. And this project in vegetable biotechnology under the aegis of collaboration on insect management for brassicas in Asia and Africa involving ICR India, Asian Vegetable Research and Development Center Taiwan, University of Melbourne, Australia, Natural Source Institute, University of Greenwich, UK. There are a lot of institutes which were involved in this vegetable biotechnology project under public-private partnership collaboration. And this India also provide a collaborative research in the areas of organic farming, precision farming under this public-private partnership models. And there are several research programs in India which are actively sought increase links with private stakeholders as partners and the research users, which need variety of institutional innovation and incentives for better coordination and cooperation of this public sector private partnerships. If you see there was a report from the World Bank that there was a funded project of NIIT, National Agriculture Institute project of ICR, which established market-oriented collaborative alliance comprising public and private partners, resulting in 51 value chains covering marigold, cotton, agroforestry, opium, nutraceuticals, improvement in trichogroma production, etc. And using recombinant technology, ELISA, which is enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay testing for disease detection, gene splicing, gene silencing, stem cell, and gene therapy. They are some of the frontline areas of biotechnology or research or development which can be done under public-private partnership, which will boost up the different sectors of the country. And this public-private partnership, it will also improve the gender mainstreaming in agriculture, was implemented with action research more in 6 states of India benefiting from women. And it will empower the women to assess the technology and market. Basically, it is a joint industry and cross institutional trust in partnership to help to maximize the networking possibilities and deliver valuable products for the farmers through a result-oriented research in agriculture. If we see that how this model helps in extension activities, if you cover a variety different extension activities like Atma, which is Agriculture Technology Management Agency, which is being facilitated commodity-based groups to partner with the private agencies in production and marketing of basmati rice and medicinal plants in Bihar, maize in Andhra Pradesh, and mango in Maharashtra. There is a Syngenta Foundation in Kenya and Telenor Group in Thailand that were working during 2008 took a partnership this model public-private partnership approach to help farmers to get better and market data using mobile phone. And India can also explore these type of models for the extension activities for the benefit of farmers. Farmers at the community level can participate in post-harvest technology research with the scientists. Now we will discuss that how this market and infrastructure development will take place through this public-private partnership. There are various literature brought of the possibility of this approach in research, extension, and marketing. And this partnering institution should undertake the need analysis of the technology for application at field level and incorporation of copyright component in MOU whatever we are doing under this public-private partnership model, we have to undergo a MOU. This means Memorandum of Understanding for a product, technology, and information by establishment of any component to avoid knowledge and idea theory. Because there are some instances of some problems may arise in the future. So already whatever we are doing under this PQ model, we have to undergo the MOU. And this concurrent monitoring of the various stages of research planning and execution will further the quicker development of the technology. And in India, that is ICRI SATS Hybrid Parent Research Consortia, which brings together 34 small and medium-sized domestic firms for the purpose of commercializing sorghum, millets, pig and pea hybrids, thus contributing to the commercial viability of both domestic seed firms and the wider seed markets in India. And this direct marketing like ITC, eChopal, and the National Dairy Development Board of public-private partnership model provide an excellent work of providing a very good job. Viable alternatives should be replicated to provide safety net for farmers by financial risk management and introduce effective agricultural insurance. If we see that what is the impact of this model in agriculture, firstly, that how much is the knowledge gain or knowledge management increased or changed by this model. This PPP approach or public-private partnership approach helped in replacement of the traditional rice varieties. Traditional rice varieties of the country with the basmati rice, cultivation of medicinal and aromatic plants, and mushroom in Patna district of Bihar, which is governed under the public-private partnership model. And farmers they average net income of 22,000 per hectare by diversifying from groundnut and paddy to maize in Sour district of Andhra Pradesh, and also expand maize area from 60 hectare to 1,150 hectare, which is a quite good example. So improve the agriculture and to improve the farmer income through this adoption of public-private partnership models. Public partnership was still the which is the field of this is this BT maize varieties, that is maize varieties, which was based on partnership between Agriculture Genetic Engineering Institute Agri of Egypt and Pioneer Hybrid Company, developing delayed ripening of papaya between Syngenta and University of Nottingham, development of genetically modified sweet potatoes in Kenya, which was developed under public-private partnership model. And there's a development of super sorghum through 9 globally respected institutions and completion of rice genome sequencing. Next, how much is the reduction of risk and uncertainties? If we see the food safety approach, the food safety related barriers in the export context were addressed through this approach for a green beans in Kenya and grapes in India. There's a famous, very renowned scientist, Reddy and Rao. He reported that there is a John Deere, a leading farm implements manufacturing company, which helped to promote mechanized farming in tribal region of Gujarat by establishing 8 agricultural implement resource centers, and each of these agricultural implement resource centers covering 600 acres of cultivated land through the adoption of this public-private partnership model. So we can also boost or we can increase this type of models for the benefit of farmers. A lot of similar examples are there which can boost up this public-private partnership and social mobilization. Just like the programs by the ATMA or Agricultural Technology Management Agency, creation of the large number of farmer interest groups in the lower and different areas of the country through this public-private partnership helps in farmer community. Later I will discuss that this how this farmer interest groups are being formed or how this FPOs formed. The success of this social mobilization lies in internalizing the community attributes from the early stage of the program and considering the grassroots institution to bring desirable social change and development. And this is to create or to help the farmers to create self-help groups, farmers club, commodity groups, etc. And a lot of the ventures or a lot of things can be created under this. productivity enhancement. That how does this productivity increase or improve through this public-private partnership model? And if this was reported by the GEMS in 2010, that India experienced an unprecedented increase in BT cotton acreage from 29,000 hectares in 2002 to 9.4 million hectares in 2010, which is only possible through the adoption of public-private partnership. There is also an example. Maheko went into partnership with Monsanto, which finally resulted into the introduction of Bacillus cereus cotton in India. And the productivity of cotton has increased from 301 kg per hectare in 2002 to 526 kg per hectare in 2010. And reduction in the real cost of production is from 14 to 46%, which is a quite good data and quite good indicator. And we have to adopt this public-private partnership so that we can further grow in agriculture and allied sectors. Economic empowerment of farm women. What we are today saying that we have to strengthen the women. We have to do the women empowerment, and this model can be a better alternative. This is one example of this issue, this model between the Cadbury India, Kerala Agriculture University, and DBT, Department of Biotechnology, during past 23 years, which trained 250 women and established 28 cocoa units in different parts of the Kerala. And this public-private partnership model in vegetable marketing in Coimbatore, district of Tamil Nadu, enhanced the income level of farm women by 20%. And this was reported by Thangamalai et al. In 2012, which clearly indicate that there is a huge potential with this model to economic empower farm women and the farmers and to uplift the farmers. Gender mainstreaming in agriculture. It will boost up that. Organic farming will be boosted up through this. This is a promoted model by the Assam Agriculture University, which enhanced the knowledge and market skills of farmer women. Also by the Thangamalai April 2012, he reported that there is a better market linkage of women vegetable growers with Annapurna Hotel in Coimbatore district of Tamil Nadu, which resulted in a higher income. This is one of the examples for the women empowerment. When the gender as a factor is taken for planning and implementing the agricultural program, it is almost possible to enhance the access of technologies, inputs, credit and market and result in elimination of gender differences and discrimination in the rural areas, which we have to address. What today India needs and what today India wants. What India needs is that we need healthy nation, we need better crop yield, we need sufficiency or self-sufficiency in types of products, either in terms of milk or meat or value-added product or processing. We need that. And what India wants, key rising trends and aware Indians shaping demand. This Indians' demands are earlier we used to consume milk as a raw milk, but later, but today, or the scenario has got changed. There is a more demand towards the milk products or meat products. If we sell the raw milk, we will get the price of the milk. But if we do the value addition in the milk or in the meat, we can fetch a more price or more income can be generated by the farmer. Thus, today's scenario is the scenario of value addition in different products, either in milk or meat. And this value addition can be done or can be approached through this public-private partnership model, so that it can improve the farmers' income, which is the ultimate requirement. And Honorable Prime Minister of India also hoping for doubling the farmer income by 2022. And this model can be a better way to improve the farmers' income. Basically, now we will discuss three different models of this public-private partnership model. In first model, if the capital expenditure or if the amount of the business involvement is lesser, then we can adopt this model. And then in this part of variable and the revenue is being adjusted by the administrative control and the capital investment. And there is a more profit towards the second model will be adopted when there is a larger share or larger contribution by the state government, and this contribution will be by the private investment, and what revenue will be generated, it will be equally shared between the public and the private players. In the third model, it is when the share or when the risk is equally distributed between the state government and the private player, and the part of variable and revenue is equally adjusted between both parties. No, there are various different other models of this public-private partnership for agricultural infrastructure. Build, operate, transfer, build, operate, own model, leasing model, concessions model, joint ventures, operation or service management contracts, informal public-private cooperations. In build, operate, transfer, the role of the private sector is finance, build, and operates, whereas the role of public sector is the buy, tax, or leases. The example for this model can be roads and highway structures, which were constructed or established under this model. This is build, operate, own model. The examples may be a water treatment plant of South Australia. They developed this under this build, operate, own model. In leasing models, Sri Lanka is doing excellent work. Local government rent municipal markets to private merchants, and transfer partially within the public. And if you see the operational or the service management contracts, the example for this model is the North Bengal Zoper service provided and the Zoper service provided Meghalaya, which is two different examples for this model. How much is the extent of the public sector or the private sector participation in this public-private partnership model? Basically, we see the public sector this owns and operate assets. Whatsoever assets are there that were owned and operates by the public sector or by the government, which include utility, restructuring, corporatization, and decentralization. Whereas the private sector owns for the privatization or the full diversification. And this public-private partnership, which is in the middle of this picture, include management and operation contracts, leases, concession, build, operate, transfer, build, design, build, operate, joint ventures, which already I have discussed with you all. And this is the extent of private sector participation. If we see from the utility or restructuring slide to the privatization, the extent of private sector participation is increasing. And the and if you see the utility restructuring, corporatization or decentralization, which is in today's scenario being by the public sector and it being operates assets, and the private sector privatization to privatization is there, and in between there's a public-private partnership, and we have to fetch more in terms of that. This is a diagram or this is a picture depicting that modes of risk delivery, that how is risk shared between the government and the private sector. If we see the mid of this is a public-private partnership. Share is equal share between the public players and the private players. If we see the government, complete government production and delivery, 100% risk by the government. And if we see the privatization, 100% risk will be shared by the private sector. But in public-private partnership, share is equally shared, risk is shared equally between both of the parties. Next, we will discuss agriculture sector development strategies. Basically, there is a NSDP, that is National Strategic Development Plan in 2014 to 2018, and there was four key elements of this plan. This plan is that first is that creating more jobs, and second is there's to provide an annual economic growth of 7%, and third is to provide or to improve the institutional capacity and governance. And the last is the achieving more than 1% reduction in poverty rate annually. And the overall policy goal of this whole scheme or the agriculture sector strategic development plan 2014-18 is to increase the agricultural growth around 5% per annum, at least 5% per annum, through enhancement of the agricultural productivity, diversification and commercialization, and livestock and aquaculture farming. Forestry and resource management. Here I would like to that animal science or the livestock sector have a very good potential along with the fisheries to boost the farmer income or to boost the agriculture sector. And today is the scenario, or today is the scene demand of integrated farming. Because from one venture we cannot fetch more returns, or we cannot fetch more profits. If we adopt the integrated farming, if we adopt the piggery along with the fish farming, the waste of pigs can be easily utilized in the fish farm, and the fish will be reared at zero cost. In Punjab, we have developed a lot of farmers who are following this practice of integrated farming, the pig farming along with the fish farming, and the fishes are reared at zero cost, or we can say that nominal cost, and the farmer are earning a very good profit out of that integrated models. Uh, Next is that we have to link, or we have to engage this agricultural value chains through this public-private partnership. If we see the different approaches for that, maybe a contract farming, we have to go contract farming in poultry sector, or in dairy farming, or in agriculture, horticulture. We have to adopt the contract farming, the share between the public and the private players. In terms of technology, we have to improve the research and development. Till date, we are having contributing towards 0.6% of that contribution, and we have to raise it to at least 1% of the GDP. We have to develop regulatory frameworks, and we have to develop the infrastructure, and we have to motivate the farmers to adopt this. In private sector, we have to trade association, we have to improve the exporters. As manufacturers, we have to strengthen that, and we have to strengthen the agriculture processing zones of parks, so that the domestic consumption and the exports can be improved. This public-private partnership model in agricultural value chains, that how we have to follow this in value chains, or how we have to adopt this value chain. Uh, Farmers are the producers, then there's a cooperative societies are there, then the private or the wholesalers. We have to make all these so that the farmer will get better terms in terms of value processing, or in terms of agriculture value chain. If we see that public sector and private sector, how we have to coordinate and how we have to work. In public sector, we have to support the regulatory facilitation and provision of public goods and services, like irrigation, technologies and services, and we have to promote the contract farming to strengthen up our farm community, or to strengthen up our agriculture, which can be done by cooperatives or farmer production groups. In farmer production groups, there are production and farming use services from SME, privates and publics. Whereas in the private sector, we have to undergo the collection process, and the role of the cooperative under this model is that service providers, input suppliers, credits, uh, they provide the finance, they provide technological services, collecting and selling, and then the profit is being shared. This is one of the model pilot public-private partnership of Aspire program, which was launched in 2016 to 2021, and the main theme was to promote this with the public or the SMEs, to provide services and to do business with the farmers or with the cooperatives. And in this model, the private players or the private businessmen will do the business with the farmers, services, input supplies, and collecting and buying and sell to the private players. Next, we will study that how does this public-private partnership can help in this artificial insemination delivery system, or there's a one very good literature on PAID. This is the model of the public-private or artificial insemination delivery system. Basically, there are three different components, and this was done by the International Development Fund. Under the first component, AI technical performance doorstep, we have to deliver 800 technician. We have to need 800 technician, 1.8 million insemination, which is under progress. The second component under this state project cost, increase the farmer demand. AI technician and other extension services to 2,25,000 smallholders, which is under planning. Is work with to upgrade the cement supply chain infrastructure, because for cement we have to need liquid nitrogen, and we have to maintain the chain. so that the semen will get not deteriorated or the quality of the semen will be maintained up to the market. And so we have to maintain all these things. Plant maintenance, training and equipments, so that we can get more productive dairy animals and we get more profit out of the dairy ventures. What farmer spends on dairy sector and what gives him more productive cows. As we all know that the dairy sector, 65 to 70% is being contributed only on the feeding component or feed component, and 35% is on the management and housing component for the dairy animals, and less than 5% on the genetics, on the genetic selection of the animals. And for improvement of this, we have to undergo a lot of strategies to boost up the feeding strategies, to boost up the nutritional interventions, so that we can get the better dairy animals and we can get the better profit. Uh, Next is this is a under this international development fund. There's a model developed by Ethiopia. In this model, different blocks were selected: Tigeriya, Amhara, SNSD, Oromeria. Technicians and their farmers were employed there to implement this architecture, to implement this paid project. This is the artificial insemination post project to implement this in the Ethiopia. And in this, basically, public-private partnership model, they have to undergo the capacity building component, performance, data recording, and feedback. Performance-based incentive system were developed, effective AI delivery system, and in implementation strategy, 80% of the AI technicians, public and the private, were under this. And a lot of trainings were being done under this paid project. Uh, Equipped AI technicians were incorporated. We undergo the
और क्या हो रहा
strengthening of liquid nitrogen
कहाँ हो अच्छा
chain maintenance. Different
ड्यूटी
LN2 plants and
हो गया
that were maintained on operational maintenance.
हेलो
Uh,
हेलो
Public partnership models. In private sector, there are a lot of processors, genetic companies, DCUs, other dairy farms are there, research
हेलो
institutions are there, farmers are there, and
सुरेश
lot
जी
of
सुरेश जी
hello,
सुरेश जी
hello,
yeah I just want to interrupt
okay, sir.
yeah Dinesh ji please mute your mic Dinesh and other participants please mute your mic the participants are requested to mute their mics please Arre, Majid ji you can mute him
Yeah, just a second. Please continue.
Suresh ji continue please unmute
Now audible, sir.
yes sorry for the disturbance
Oh, okay, no problem. That's okay. And the dairy sector which we have to need
Can
to,
you switch
which we
to
have to
PPT,
address.
sir? Yeah,
Sir,
perfect.
now I have to address.
No,
Now
perfect,
visible, sir.
perfect.
Okay, sir. Okay. The dairy sector, and that is there are a lot of and the demand as per the government of India, we have to establish at least 10,000 FPOs or the farmer producer organization to boost up this dairy sector and the adjoining sector like piggery, goatry, or poultry, and in this agriculture sector, in the horticulture sector, so that we can get the dairies which are there. Profit of the individuals of the producer who is producing can get the better returns, which I will discuss to make this FPOs. This is a generic approach for the daily development planning. Firstly, we have to set up a task force. Then we have to do the analysis. We have to know about the marketing. We have to create a long-term vision of the sector in terms of implementation, feasibility, and other factors. Then we have to develop a plan or develop an action plan. And we have to undergo the SWOT analysis, which is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis. And then we have to implement, monitor, and evaluation. And in the what type of information we need before we should develop or we should undergo the daily development planning. First is the structure of the sector, that how much will be the structure or the future trends. Then we have to undergo the SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis. Then only we are in a position to start any venture or to undergo any type of farming. This is a basic rule of adopting any farming, either it's a poultry, piggery, poultry. Firstly, we have to do the SWOT analysis so that we can get the exact position or we can get the real scenario of that sector of that farming area in terms of strength in that region. Basically, if we see there may be there are a lot of circumstances that dairy may do better in one region, but it may not do better in another region. That poultry may be more suitable for one region, not for the other region. If we see the pig or the piggery sector, the demand for the piggery is more in Northeast India compared to other parts of the country. So we have to think that and uh, do our business likewise or accordingly to do that. Uh, Dairy development plannings we have to adopt various laws, programs, projects are there, and we have to more efficiently dairy chains in terms of value production we have to maintain. Uh, Next, we will discuss regarding there is a paper by a very excellent paper by Dr. Kunduswamy from ICAR National Dairy Research Institute. He conducted a study on constraints in execution of this public-private partnership model in dairy farming. That what are the constraints or what are the lacunae? And I will discuss here with you. The first table is that establishment constraint as expressed by the public extension player. Next is the private extension player. In this, the maximum constraint is with the credit availability, the finance. Second is the availability of market. Good market is not there. Third is subsidies or incentives because farmers need in subsidies or incentives. Fourth is the technical advice. They feel problem in technical advice. Fifth is the support of family, and in the last, which is the cooperation of friends and relatives. Whereas what are the problems which are being faced by the public extension players in terms of the perceptions of patients. The first is the market access, second is the input availability, third is the labor availability, fourth is the timely payment, fifth is customer acceptance, and last is the transparency in the system, which we must have to follow. Uh, Infrastructure constraints the paravet or the vaccinations. Firstly is the timely availability of vaccine and medicine, which was maybe considered a factor for the this dairy sector. Second is the difficulty in timely reaching the client. Third is the inadequate vehicle facility to reach the client in time. Fourth is inadequate AI equipment. And the last under this is the inadequate or the poor quality input items being made available. And the perceptions, personal recognition constraint perceived by the technician. First is the lack of reward and recognition of good work, which we have to provide the recognition to the workers who are doing excellent works in terms of dairy sector. And secondly, the personal status in the society of the technician or the workers who are doing under that. Uh, this is the career growth constraint as perceived by the technician. Under the first is the poor opportunity for training and development of skill. Second is the inadequacy or lesser opportunities of interaction with other professionals. Third is the limited opportunity for progress in choosing profession. Next is the financial constraint. First is inadequate monthly income. Second is delayed payment of services. These all are the factors and the constraint perceived by the beneficiary respondent. The first post is services are costly in terms of farmers. They feel that the services are costly. Second is the poor consumption rate in AI, which farmers feel. Third is the artificial insemination not being done on time because farmers don't know how to do artificial insemination. The the rule of AM/PM, rule of artificial insemination, lack of facility for the technician during the odd hours. All these study indicate that all these studies conducted by the Swami clearly indicate that that we have to strengthen, if we want to strengthen our dairy sector or dairy farming, we have to map out these constraints or these lacunae so that we can further improve the dairy sector. And this is another study by the Dr. Swami. And what are the successful public-private partnership models and non-failure public-private partnership models? In successful, they discussed the Atma-initiated models in various states of India, vermicompost production involving Assam Agriculture University and district level rural development society, and farmers groups in Jorhat district, hybrid rice seed production by IARI and private parties, and the ICRISAT. And in the failure models, non-involvement of 9 departments of the local government. If we don't involve the local government or the non-line department, there may be chances of the failure of the model. So we have to do collaborative work. We have to get involved with the 9 departments so that we can get better results. The example under the failure is the bioethanol production from sweet sorghum in rain-fed areas, and Saffron terminal market in Bengaluru failed due to undue advantage taken by the partners, which we have to consider, or which we have to think before formulating or before considering any of the public-private models. This is being by the interface or ICR industry meeting, agro biochemicals, and as per their reports on the plant production. What are the scopes and opportunities for this public-private partnership models in plant production or in the plant sector? This is the better pesticide formulation, data generation on efficacy and safety of new molecule formulations, analyticals, improved pesticide delivery system, agents for the this is a model of the roadmap that how the research development and the between the universities and the collaborative institute can be done. And this is under this interface there was a how to adopt or how to undergo the dairy to the public-private partnership model. In this, the procurement of milk will be done by the local vendor, which is 52.5%, private dairy 5%, cooperative 7.5%, and the farm consumption itself is 35%. And out of all this, the private dairies, milk processing 55% by the other products, fluid milk 45%, cooperative milk is fluid milk is 60% in this transformation or dairying to the public-private partnership model. In this, the broad areas of that ranging from different diseases management or vaccine production or housing, that what are the areas and who should invest in that areas, like control of infectious disease, control of systematic disease, pharmaceuticals, infectious disease investment will be by the public sector, by the private sector. Whereas if you see that collection systems, milk can or milk tankers may be by the private sector, or in processing and marketing, it may be the cooperative or the private sector investments regarding production of various value-added products like cheese, butter, powder, culture products, transfer of desserts, ice cream, etc. There are a lot of value addition which we can do or which we can undergo. Manpower, training and extension activities and research and development, which can be jointly undertaken by the public and the private sector, and even also by the cooperative sectors. This is being a study being conducted by the Hormuz et al. And this is a public-private partnership as systemic agricultural expansion policy instruments. This suggested that what are the public benefits and the private benefits out of innovation and partnering or the partnership with, through this public-private partnership model. If you see the benefits, the environmental social from sustainable innovation contribution to economic growth, because it will help to boost up the economy, increase employment opportunities, and the private benefit will get increased production and productivity, development of new products, and lot of market opportunities will be by the public partnership under this model. And through this, in this paper, we have also discussed that public-private partnership, how this greenhouse gas and the propagating materials and the genomics can be addressed through this model, and there are discussed in 1998 to 2012 how this biosystem genomics were being undergo under this public-private partnership model. Uh, Technological Tool Institute, Green Genetics, and the top consortium knowledge and the propagation material. And in the last, I would discuss something regarding FPOs, which is being very much addressed by the government of India. Target for the government of India is to at least set up 10,000 FPOs in different sectors. Firstly, what is FPO? It is one type of producer organization where the members are the farmers. In FPO, in structure or in the component or in the uh, FPO, there is a chief executive officer who is being appointed out of the farmer members. If there are 200 or 300 farmers, for example, if they are doing any business or doing piggery, then we will nominate one of the farmer as the CEO of that FPO. Other will be a member of that FPO. We have to appoint one chief account officer. We have to take consideration the audit, which I will subsequently discuss that how we have to formulate this FPO. This key smaller farmers agribusiness consortium is providing support for the formation of for the formation or the promotion of FPOs. There are a lot of banks like NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, which is providing a very good platform for the establishment of FPOs. Recently, I have submitted one of my proposals, and I am proposing FPOs on of the Punjab. Basically, there are a lot of big farmers are there in this current district of Punjab, and they are doing excellent work, particularly in the piggery sector. And recently, there are 200 or 200 plus farmers who are doing this, and we have submitted our proposal to the NABARD to prepare their FPOs. And this producer organization is a generic name for an organization of producer of any produce. It may be agricultural, non-farm products, artisan products, etc. This FPO can be a producer company, a cooperative society, or any other legal forum which provides for sharing of profits or benefits among the members. Now we will discuss or we will study the differences between the cooperatives and the producers company. If we see the first point, that is the registration. Under cooperative, the registration will be by the Cooperative Society Act. Whereas in the producer company, that will be by the Indian Companies Act. Objectives. What is the objective of, or what is the theme, or what is the aim of the cooperative? It is single object, and the producer company, there's the multiple objects ranging from production, processing, everything. Area of operation is restricted in cooperatives, whereas in producer company there is no restriction. Entire Union of India. If you see the share, that is non-tradable, whereas it is, but in producer company it can be transferred limited to members on par value. Profit sharing is there, voting rights is there, reserves is there, borrowing powers are there under producer companies. What are the steps, or what are the process? What is the process for making the FPO? Firstly, the cluster identification. We have to identify the cluster. We have to identify the area where we want to establish the FPO. At least 8,000 to 10,000 cluster area we have to identify. Then we have to undergo the diagnostic study, or the area study, or what is the how does they are doing their business, or how does they are doing their activities, and then we have to analyze the situation, and then we have to propose over study. Then we have to go the feasibility analysis. How much is the feasibility for formation of that producer organization? Then baseline assessment. Firstly, we have to undergo the survey of that. Then business planning. That how will we do the business, or what is our plan? What is our future vision, or future how we will see that over FPO future. Then is the mobilization of the farmers. That we have to motivate the farmers regarding this FPO. We have to undergo the regular meetings with the farmers. So we have we have discussed the profit, or what the FPO will be established. Then the organizing and formalizing, resource mobilization we have to undergo. Management system development we have to address. Business operation we have to formulate, and in the last we have to undergo the assessment and audits. For audit, we require chartered accountant who can do audit on behalf of the FPO, And whatsoever the profit or the loss will be there will be checked, and there should be a proper record of each and everything of that FPO. The FPO may be for 3 year, 5 year, or 7 years. The proper record should be there, and then the proper registration should be there. Uh, Now we will discuss that what are the constraints or what are the challenges which are being faced by the FPOs. According to the managing director of Dr. Jogesh Thore, that establishing FPO will not work as it requires a good ecosystem to operate. And thus, these organizations face challenges such as funding, capacity building, and value chain investment. There is a statement by the agricultural consultant Jagdish Supan. He stated that there are thousands of FPOs in the country, but only a few are successful and are making money. In an FPO, business competence will develop when you have corporate skills and leadership. But most of the FPOs depend upon government programs and have no business acumen, which was published in the Hindu 2019. And he pointed out that the success of FPO will also depend on other players such as banks, retailers, and cooperative sectors. And the value chain required for the development of FPOs cannot be done by one player. We have to undergo multiple options to establish or to strengthen or to formulate over FPOs. Here I would like to add one more point that uh, till date we are focusing on self-help group or other things, but today we have to think or we have to formulate the FPOs in different sectors, either in horticulture or in agriculture or in the animal science sectors, like dairy, poultry, to strengthen or to boost up the farmers community, so that there may be a direct link between the producer and the final consumer, so that the intermediaries or RPS can be reduced, and the farmer, which is the backbone of the country, will get better profit and better revenue. And last, in my conclusion slides, I would like to focus that this PPP or a public-private partnership is emerging as an appropriate extension model in order to balance the social constraints which are currently being faced by both public and private extension players. It provides adequate planning before execution in agriculture and allied sector. We have to undergo the lot of planning and lot of exercise and lot of homework we have to do so that we can execute this partnership in a very better way. Thorough knowledge about the local situation. We must have adequate knowledge about the local situation, local demands, local requirements, what local people needs, so that we can address that, and as well as the national priorities, what should be the national priorities, so that that can be addressed. And the partners in partnership or this public right must look into account current trends and forecasted scenario. What are the trends today and what may be there in the future? And it can be a useful tool to accelerate development in various areas like business and infrastructure. Uh, there are a lot of public-private partnerships who are working in contract farming, drip irrigation projects, and terminal market, among others. However, still scope is limited, and there are serve as an example of. So, in last, I would suggest that government should make consideration on this public-private partnership, and we must more do focus on this public-private partnership. With these words, I would like to thanks my slide, and once again thankful to the organizing members for giving me this opportunity. This is my mail ID sureshvarma7298@gmail.com, and this is my mobile number. If any of you are having any doubt or any clearance, or you may ask me the questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
If
so
there
much,
are
sir.
any questions from the participants, please ask. Are there any questions? If not, then you can directly email them to the sir's email. Sir
Yes,
has
sir.
provided his number.
Any participant, if any having any doubt or any clearance or any future, they may directly drop me a mail on my mail ID, or they may even call me on my mobile number, so that
Yeah.
if I would be able to answer them, I feel very lucky or very privileged to answer them, sir.
Majid ji, can you just go through on the chat box?
Just a second.
Majid ji. Yeah, Majid ji, are you there?
Yes, yes.
So, are there any questions?
But there are no questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So let's proceed to the vote of thanks. If there are no questions.
Yeah, shall I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So thank you very much, all the participants. I just would like to add one or two points to Dr. Suresh ji's lecture because we know that even Government of India as well as everyone ICR has considered public-private partnership as one of the very important strategy for improving the livelihood scenario as well as bringing in sustainability in agriculture as well as all the sectors as a whole. So thank you, Dr. Suresh ji, for actually your very nice and elaborative lecture. Yeah, in fact, you have touched upon majority of the areas even within public-private partnerships with good examples also. And on behalf of all our participants, on behalf of our organizing team, as well as on my personal behalf, I would like to thank you very much for sharing your valuable experiences as well as giving your valuable time to us or to all the participants. And I'm sure if there are any, yeah,
Thank you so much, sir,
and
for giving me this opportunity, sir.
And if there are any queries, I even request the participants to please contact him directly. He has given his mail ID as well as mobile number, and that will be great if you even contact him. So thank you very much, and let us all meet tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the last lecture we have got. Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
all,
much,
and
sir.
thank you, Dr. Surajji. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you, sir.